Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today we've actually got to talk about the United States because the United States is actually behind in cyber defense. And if you're thinking, well, yeah, Nick, we've known that all along. There's some new, basically news that's coming to light here from CISA that essentially really should be dropping a supercharger into this. Now, there's multiple sources reporting on this, but I'm cribbing from Raphael Satter of Reuters, who I thought had a really good write-up on this, and this is what happened. Now, Chinese hackers are all but certain to disrupt American critical infrastructure, such as pipelines and railways, in the event of a conflict with the United States. And that is according to Jen Easterly, head of CISA. Now, in comments made during an appearance at the Aspen Institute in Washington, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency Director Jen Easterly said that Beijing was making major investments in the capability to sabotage U.S. infrastructure. Quote, "This, I think, is the real threat that we need to be prepared for and to focus on and to build resilience against. Given the formidable nature of the threat from Chinese state actors, given the size of their capability, given how much resources and effort they're putting into it, it's going to be very, very difficult for us to prevent disruptions from happening." Now, she also cautioned that Americans need to be prepared for the likelihood that Beijing's hackers would basically dodge their defenses or evade their defenses and cause damage in the physical world as well. Now, her comments also expanded on a warning earlier this year by the U.S. intelligence community, which said that it's in its annual threat assessment that Beijing, quote, "certainly would consider undertaking aggressive cyber operations against U.S. homeland critical infrastructure," end quote. And also military targets should Chinese decision makers believe that a major fight in the United States was imminent. And yes, this is 100% correct. This isn't necessarily news, but what we are seeing is, in fact, a buildup of that capability as they continue to expand their cyber operations, their cyber development, and their cyber training. Basically, the PLA, or People's Liberation Army, literally has a cyber army that they are training, and they are excellent. On top of it, we have things like the John McCain Act from a few years ago of essentially Chinese technology that is banned here in the United States for fear of backdoors, eavesdropping, surveillance, and all of that. We have a problem with Chinese apps. I literally just did a video yesterday/podcast yesterday on Temu, this app that a lot of people think are actually a scam because the prices are so low. But I talked about access that the Chinese government can have and will have per a 2017 law into that app to get information and telemetry on citizens all over the United States, including TikTok as well. TikTok is in that boat. So this is a huge problem. We really need to start understanding that while the internet is an amazing place for communication and collaboration, the darker side of the internet, outside of the dark web and the anger on social media and all of that, is that we are also interconnected with all of these intelligence agencies. Every major corporation, organization, government institution has basically a presence on the internet, as we all do, and by virtue of that, it is attackable. And we have seen infrastructure hits before, whether it was Russian hackers or cutouts, hitting SolarWinds or Colonial Pipeline or everything else. But we also know that Chinese cyber operations, as well as disinformation campaigns in places like Hong Kong and Taiwan, have been rather prolific and rather efficient as well. So there's no doubt that they're doing it here. Not to mention, there was a recent report of secret police stations to keep track of Chinese nationals here in the United States, which means they have a cyber presence actually in the borders of the United States too. So this is something that we need to understand. This is something that we need to prepare for. And as we are going through this, make sure you are doing things like keeping everything up to date. We basically update our patch primarily for vulnerability. Make sure that your equipment can work offline in the event of an internet failure. Meaning, is your air conditioner going to stop working because your Google Nest can't phone home to the internet? That was literally a case that we've had. Not to mention, if you're a business, what about your industrial control systems? Make sure that you are preparing for this. Have good backups. Be prepared for a potential outage in a major area of things like operational infrastructure, traffic lights, 911, all these kinds of things, as essentially attackers are attempting to find ways into things, and maybe they have, and they're laying dormant. So this is not a tinfoil hat thing. This is simply preparedness. And make sure you are prepared, because obviously this is going to be a huge problem. And as things start to escalate in China, or at least I guess with China, as they have focused on Taiwan, they're looking at the Russian invasion of Ukraine as a bit of a global reaction / litmus test to that. We may see ourselves basically ramping up conflict, which means they may start activating hackers, state-sponsored hackers, in a way that we just haven't seen before. So be vigilant, be prepared, understand essentially your role roles and responsibilities, because it is a shared responsibility for all of us. We're all in this together to make sure that you are not one of those endpoints that they can take over. And that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private. Thanks, everybody.